Jungkook didn't raise his voice, didn't utter a single harsh word, and didn't turn away in anger. Yet, his actions were enough to make Jimin cry in front of their fellow comrades. A tear that fell not from conflict, but from the silent power of a decision. Then came the question that tore at the calm of armies across the world. Why did Jungkook do that? The incident took place in a setting and time that was supposed to mark the end of their military journey together. The final days of a harsh mandatory military service that united them not as idols, but as brothers in arms. For more than a year, Jimin and Jungkook shared space, physical burdens, mental pressure, and the kind of military discipline that allows no negotiation. Their brotherhood was forged not through choreography rehearsals, but through gunfire drills, freezing night patrols, and solidarity in quiet exhaustion. Yet it was in those final seconds of their time together that Jungkook made an announcement that shook everyone in the room emotionally. He chose not to go home with the others. Instead of returning with his comrades to civilian life, Jungkook voluntarily extended his military service. He stated that he would stay to complete an additional mission that was entirely voluntary, a mission not required by the country, not ordered by a superior, not scheduled by his agency, purely by his own will. A decision that seemed simple, but shook Jimin to the point where his tears fell uncontrollably. According to several eyewitnesses inside the barracks during the announcement, Jimin looked stunned. His hands clenched tightly around his military helmet, his face turned tense, and he couldn't hide the turmoil of his emotions. The briefing room suddenly went silent. No one spoke. No one knew how to respond. Because what happened wasn't just a farewell, but a form of sacrifice that no one had anticipated, especially not Jimin. "I want to end this my own way," Jungkook said softly to Jimin, gently touching his shoulder. A simple sentence, yet one with immense emotional and moral weight. To Jimin, Jungkook's decision was not just an act of courage, but also a reflection of deep dedication. They had dreamed of the day they would return together, back to the world of music, greeting ARMY as one unit. But reality said otherwise. Jungkook chose a lonely path, one not captured by cameras and not covered by entertainment media. And therein lies the pain, because the farewell wasn't due to force, but due to principle. Jimin's reaction? Tears he couldn't hold back. Not because he felt betrayed, but because he knew his friend chose something greater than himself. Those tears were a form of respect that words could not express. This story then flooded social media. Armies around the world reacted emotionally. Some expressed admiration. Others admitted they couldn't stop crying after reading the chronology. But not a few also questioned the authenticity of the story. The primary sources of this news came from the testimonies of several fellow soldiers, unofficial posts, and viral video fragments on TikTok. There was no official statement from the South Korean military or Big Hit Music when the story first emerged. This sparked debate. Did the event really happen as described? Or was it just an emotional narrative built by the fandom community and social media that loves to dramatize every interaction between BTS members? If we dig deeper, it appears the initial information came from a fanbase account with millions of followers, claiming to have received a leak from someone inside the military camp. That claim was then reinforced by a 15-second video showing Jimin wiping his face and Jungkook standing behind him with a serious expression. No sound. No confirmation of time or place. Yet the combination of image and narrative was enough to create a global emotional storm. The problem is, emotions cannot serve as evidence. In a world where visuals are easily manipulated and viral information can be created within minutes, stories like this must be approached with caution. The story about Jungkook and Jimin may be true. It could also be largely shaped by public expectation. However, does that doubt diminish the emotional value felt by millions of armies around the world? Not necessarily, because in the end, this story is more than just about factual truth. It's about how two young men who have become global icons are able to touch the hearts of many through simple actions and the purity of emotion. Even if the story is exaggerated, the fact remains. there is something real about their friendship, something that cannot be fake. If it's true that Jungkook extended his military service for an additional mission that offered no financial or popularity gain, then it reflects a rare character in the entertainment world: humility. And if it's true that Jimin cried upon learning that decision, then that is proof that their relationship surpasses professional boundaries. It's a mutual respect only possessed by those who have endured harsh times together. Yet the public still has the right to ask, is this part of the agency's strategy? Is the emotional involvement of fans being directed to boost engagement or prolong BTS's relevance during the group's hiatus? Because it's undeniable that narratives of sacrifice and farewell are very effective in evoking mass empathy. What's interesting is how this event blurs the line between reality and narrative, between what actually happened and what we want to believe. Armies, with such strong emotional bonds to the members, tend to believe in narratives that align with their idol's ideal image. And when those narratives touch on universal themes like friendship, sacrifice, and farewell, logic often yields. Then, amid all of this, one thing becomes very clear. Whether or not this story truly happened, it has had a real impact. It has moved hearts, strengthened the community, and reaffirmed the emotional power of the relationships among BTS members. Even during quiet times like military service, their story continues to inspire and shape global conversation. Should we, as the public, only focus on factual truth? Or can we acknowledge that in a world that moves fast and is full of falsehoods, stories like this, which may only be partially true, are still worth appreciating for their good intent and impact? One thing's for sure, when Jimin cried, and if it was because of Jungkook, then the world has seen that tears are not a weakness. They are the purest form of human connection. And in this context, they are a symbol of brotherhood that can't be bought by fame or image. However, before we get swept too deep into emotion and compelling narratives, let's pause and ask, are we truly certain this event happened? Or is it possibly just part of a carefully crafted narrative to evoke empathy, stimulate public engagement, and strengthen fandom loyalty? It's undeniable that the story of Jungkook Made Jimin Cry carries extraordinary emotional appeal. It touches on universal themes: friendship, sacrifice, farewell. But from a journalistic and ethical perspective, we are obligated to ask, does this story stand on verifiable facts, or is it merely built on selectively curated social media fragments? It should be noted that this information initially spread from several TikTok posts, Twitter threads, YouTube clips, and some anonymous quotes from fanbase accounts. None of these media can be considered primary or credible sources in professional journalism. So, how can we assess its truth? Is it automatically true just because many people talk about it? We live in an era where public perception often outweighs reality. A 15-second silent video can spark thousands of theories. A tweet from an unverified account can become a global reference within minutes. Does this indicate the power of information or the weakness of how we consume news? Beyond that, we must also consider the possibility that this narrative is part of an emotional communication strategy not unfamiliar in the entertainment world. Isn't it very possible that this story, no matter how touching, also serves as a distraction from other issues? Or even as a form of fabrication deliberately designed to maintain public interest during BTS's hiatus? How many of us actually ask, who first spread this story? What's the motive behind this information? Is there any concrete evidence beyond unofficial testimonies and emotional fan reactions? These questions should be our fundamental reflection before we get too emotionally involved. The main criticism we must present as readers and consumers of information is, do not become victims of sensationalism wrapped neatly in empathy. Facts and emotions are not enemies, but both must be weighed fairly and proportionally. If not, then we will continue to be trapped in a cycle of manipulative information that benefits certain parties, be it media, agencies, or even fan-based communities that deliberately spice up narratives to boost engagement.